and welcome to my podcast, Soul Expansion and Inspiration. This is Series 3, Episode 4, and my name is Allie O'Shea. I'm here today with Travis Barton. Very warm welcome to you, Travis.
So happy to be here.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you here. I know how busy you are, so thank you so much. You're an international business and life coach. You're an adventurer and you're an author, which is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm pretty proud of that author badge that I can now put on my my resume.
I know. I'm still waiting to get there. I almost co-authored with Joe Vitale, but I decided to do it myself, and my book is still inside my computer.
Your first book is your baby. It's got to be your own, I think.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So amazing. So I really am so in awe of anyone who's an author and has a book who's published, because I know what hard work and dedication that it can take to get it out there. Although I know for some people too, it can be quite easy to do. How was it for you?
I thought it was the first draft came out, and it was like one of those stories like, I wrote the book in a month, and then I finished it, and I was like, I'm going to get this published, I'm going to go out and publish. And I had some beta readers read it, and they go, this is amazing, but where's your story? So then I spent the next year and a half, 2 years really nurturing it and bleeding on paper, to use a cliche, and just letting it breathe and coming back to it, and letting it breathe and coming back to it until it was at a point where it was super good enough. And as an author, as any artist, any creative person will always say, it's never, you have to let it go at a certain point where it's never going to be perfect. And if you're holding on to perfection, it's never going to come out. So it's the old, authors will say, once you put it out and give the manuscript to the publisher, then you think of all these things that, I could have done this and I could have done this, and you just gotta let it go. So yeah, I spent about a year and a half with it, so it's super good enough. Okay,
that's brilliant, and really good advice. Actually, I've got a friend who has a main book and a few books in the works, and he keeps going back to it, and I keep saying, Robbie, when is your book coming, for goodness sake? And he keeps saying, like what you were just saying, really trying to perfect it, because we do learn and expand and grow as time goes on. So we inevitably want to add those things to the book.
Yeah, and you just got to be careful with that, because it's never going to, you're always going to have that. I have a client right now who has, I'm not kidding you, he has four or five books on his computer or on Notepad and stuff like that. Oh my God, you're publishing a book. You're publishing this book. Well, it's not ready yet. Good, publish it. Right? Yeah, because you have already spent 5 years on it. It's time to release that thing to the world, right? The world needs it.
Because you can always do a re-edition of it, or whatever it's called. New edition.
Right. You could do that.
Well, I know somebody who did that, actually. Yeah.
What's Michael Neal rewrote Super Coach, I think.
Okay.
He put out one edition and then he just completely rewrote it. So, but I like it as it, as it's a product of its time. I like it as it's where I was in my life, in my business, and that's where it is. And I can always write a sequel or something else down the road. Yeah.
Well, we should really tell the listeners what your book is called.
The Adventure of Purpose, and it's coming out very soon through my publisher. I'm excited. The Adventure of Purpose. It's a guide and memoir of discovering your life purpose and creating a life doing it.
Yes. And you're a big advocate for that, aren't you? That's really what you teach.
It's the fire. It's the fire that burns throughout our life, that inspires action through most everything else we do. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. So I know that you live in sunny California and that you lived in Australia for a time. Do you feel that California is really where your heart belongs?
Yeah. I've traveled around the world. I've been to Ireland, where you live.
Yeah.
I've been all over the world. I've been to beautiful tropical beaches. I've been to snowy, beautiful mountains. California is my home. I was just very fortunate to have been born here, and it sort of made the move very easy. All I had to move was about 30 minutes south to get closer to the beach. And
whereabouts in California are you?
Huntington Beach, so just south of Los Angeles. So
okay.
I'm in Orange County, right? So
I was in Agoura Hills when I was there.
Yeah, cool. California is amazing, and I can go surf. I surfed this morning, and if I wanted to, I can go to the mountains, and I'd be there in an hour and a half. And
the beaches are beautiful, really beautiful.
It's
I didn't get to spend enough time at your beaches when I was there.
Well, you're welcome to join now.
Yeah. I'd love that. Okay, so tell me a little bit, if you would, Travis, about your personal spiritual journey, how you kind of, I know a little bit that you suffered, like myself, depression in the past. Would you say that that was part of your sort of spiritual journey story?
It was it's weird because I almost think it's safer in some instances to just, you go through life and, not safer, it's just, you go through life and it's good. How's life? It's good.
Yeah.
How's everything? It's good. How's the relationship? It's good. Sometimes you need a storm to come to shake you up, to elevate yourself to that next level. So yeah, I was going through depression and anxiety and the whole thing. And
Yeah.
I woke up one day and I said, I'm sick of this. I don't want to be a victim anymore. I want to take charge. I want to give myself a fighting chance against this. And I took one step, and it was the best thing. I went on a run one morning, just a run. That's it. I didn't have running shoes, so I went barefoot.
Wow.
Went on a run. I go, wow, this feels good, right? I'm doing something for myself. This feels good, right? So then I started surfing more, and then I started taking care of myself, and then that transcended into reading better things and not wasting my time watching reality television. And I started to realize, coming out of this funk and coming out of this depression, that I had a perfect system in place for depression, because I was drinking, I was watching crap TV, I was not taking care of myself, I had a perfect system for feeling bad.
Yeah. Well, we do that, don't we? We play the victim. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a perfect cycle, because we have the depression, and that permeates, to our actions. It's like, well, I don't feel like getting out of bed, right? Because I'm depressed. And then what does that do? It creates more depression. So we have to just have the courage to really interrupt that pattern. And it's hard at first.
Yeah.
But once you do it, you create a new system. Then you go from a perfect system to feeling like crap to feeling amazing. And depression's been just, I haven't seen that bastard around in over a decade. So pretty stoked on that.
That's great news. Yeah. But that's a perfect way to sort of describe it, because what you are describing is how you came to practice self-love, self-worth, and the self-confidence within you then came out through all of that. And self-love is always at the basis of everything. So it's a beautiful thing once we start to do that, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's life-changing. It's the foundation of self-love. Yep.
Absolutely. So what does a typical day in the life of Travis Barton look like?
You're looking at it, man. No, I wake up, I have a morning ritual. So I do that. I wake up and I do
meditation.
Meditation is first I make the coffee, and then I meditate. I usually do Zazen meditation or Tamo meditation, one of the two.
Okay.
So Zazen is just Zen mindfulness, and Tamo is kind of it's an interesting one. It's fun though. And then I will do journaling. I ask myself 4 questions. What am I grateful for? What would make today extraordinary? What am I most proud of from yesterday? And what could I have done better yesterday?
Beautiful.
4 questions based around, Taoism or Stoicism, just to help cultivate happiness and cultivate growth in my life at the same time. And then I will do a bit of a workout, no longer than 10 or 15 minutes in the morning, a little stretching, things like that. Take an ice cold shower, and I feel like I'm forgetting something, whatever. So basically, I always say 2 things you should do every morning is still the mind, move the body. So my most important parts of the morning ritual are meditation and movement. Yeah. In some way. It's easy to wake out of bed and scroll through Reddit or Instagram or something like that. And,
all
put
those
on the
things
news.
Are really important. Let me ask you, do you find something each day when you write that question? How do I make today extraordinary?
I find the most extraordinary things sometimes they're not in most people wouldn't call extraordinary. Sometimes it's just, what would make today extraordinary? I gotta go talk to this family member today, and I'm gonna practice my Zen. I'm gonna practice being patient and being, sometimes it's the little things. Sometimes it's get to bed at 9 o'clock, because 365 days a week, I can't, I don't know. You can't go run a marathon every day of the week. You can't break records every day of the week. So sometimes it is in the little things, and sometimes you don't want to. Sometimes you just want to have a low key kind of day, and sometimes that's what going to make today extraordinary. I'm not going to open my laptop to work. That's an extraordinary day.
And tell me, you're not part of this 5 a.m. club, are you?
Well, no, I don't. I've heard about it, but sometimes, but not. I mean, I don't think it's the time that you get up that's important. It's how you wake up.
Yeah.
But I do love to wake up early. But it is more about how you wake up than when you wake up. So you can wake up at 10 o'clock, and if you start your day that way and you start it with intention, you can wake up at 4:30 or 10 o'clock. It doesn't matter. It's just when you start. But if you start your day at 10 o'clock in the morning and you feel behind and you're stressed out, I gotta go then there's a problem. You need to start getting up earlier.
Yeah. Gratitude and meditation and getting ourselves into that right mindset is so important.
Absolutely.
So my next question was, what do you do to stay motivated every day? But I guess that part of your morning ritual would attribute to that. Is there something else that you can add to that, or is that really it?
I'm not motivated every day. It's hard. I think that's it's motivation has a half-life. I think Jim Rohn said that motivation is like a bath. You got to take one every day. And so I think the important distinction to make is you got to find a why that's bigger than your mood swings. Some days I wake up and I do feel a bit lethargic, but to stay motivated, I just revert back to my why. Why am I doing this? Why is this important? And some days you just got to kind of go through it. Most days I am pretty motivated, but that's just because
I just watched one of your videos on leg day. That's why I asked.
Yeah, so that's a good video to bring up the subject, because leg day, I hate leg day at the gym. Don't like it. Every week I gotta go. Like today's leg day. Actually, after this call, I have to go to the gym and do leg. I'm going to do legs, and
it was really funny.
And so I go, all right, I don't want to do it. So what I do is I take one step in the right direction. Yeah. I put on my workout shoes, and if I take the first step, the snowball effect starts going, and it's just harder to get out of that, right? I'll set my pre-workout out. I'll get in the car to go to the gym. Once you're there, you're doing it anyway. So it's not about focusing on leg day. It's about focusing on taking that first step.
Yeah. I'm a huge believer in baby steps, like to get anything started, especially when we're feeling not so motivated like you on leg day, that we just start somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. What did Lao Tzu say? He said, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
That's it.
He didn't say the journey of 1,000 miles begins with overthinking things. He didn't say the journey of 1,000 miles begins with like thinking about the squats that you have to do on leg day. He didn't say the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a giant leap. He said one single step.
Yeah. So
when you take one step, the path becomes more clear. It becomes a hell of a lot easier. The first step is the hardest step, because we convince ourselves that we're not ready, or that now's not the day, or now's not the time. But when you take the first step, no matter what it is, so no matter if it's going to the gym on leg day, or if it's opening the computer to just get started working on your business, just take the first step. Don't think about just that's all I'm asking you as your coach. If I'm working with you, don't think about the process. Don't think about the outcome. Just think about first step. Yeah. Just do the first step, and then you find the first step. You're 95% of the way there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I totally agree with you. So I know that one of the most inspirational people in your life was Alan Watts. You can't get wet by the word water.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, Alan Watts. He was my guru before. He'll never know it, sadly, but he was the guy that influenced the beginnings of my spiritual journey and continues to.
Do you want to talk a little bit about him?
Yeah.
Go on, then.
He was, I think the first lecture I saw from him was, what do you desire? And I was lost in life, and he just reframed that in a way that I understood, and I kept kind of listening to him on and off. And one day a friend gifted me his book, which is aptly titled The Book. And it just changed my world. I had been meditating for about a year prior to reading that. And then I started, learning about, non-duality and Zen and all these beautiful things. And it just completely impacted me in such a way. I think a subtle way. The first time I read it, I was camping at Joshua Tree by myself, and I had read it front to back in my tent. And I've probably read it 5 or 6 times since then. I've read most of his work since then, and it's every time you read it, you get something new out of it, and it's just a new kind of aha moment or an insight every time. Yeah, so he's definitely been a huge part of that.
And the book is called The Book.
It's called The Book by Alan Watts.
Get the book.
You got to get the book. I mean, it's called The Book for a reason. He's saying if there was anything that I would give to my kids and my grandkids as wisdom to just take, this is it.
Yeah.
This is the book, right? And which is, it sounds like a very egocentric thing, but Alan Watts is the kind of guy, that man didn't have an ego, right? So if you're on a spiritual path, if you're, interested in any of that stuff, that's you can take one book with you on a desert island. That would be it.
Yeah, brilliant, love it. And is there anyone else then that you would sort of, I know that you put him up here, so anyone else that's kind of influenced you sort of along your path as you've gone along your journey?
Yeah, Joseph Campbell was another guy. Do you know Joseph Campbell?
I've heard of him, yeah.
The hero's journey and the monomyth, and he was. If there's two people in the world I can sit and have coffee with, unfortunately I won't be able to because they're both passed on. But Joseph Campbell and Alan Watts would be mind blowing.
Dinner party. It would be much better to have a dinner party with them.
Right, dinner party, right? And but it's the next best thing. I can read their work, and it's Joseph Campbell hugely influenced my spiritual life and my work as a coach as well, which is interesting because he wasn't a coach, but the hero's adventure and journey and what it means to live, to find the elixir of life and to go through and slay your dragon, whatever that is, and testing your fears and living a life fulfilled and stepping out onto the adventure of your lifetime. These are lessons that greatly impacted me and my growth in life, and lessons that I will pass on to just my kids and my clients and the people I work with and the people listening to this right now. It's just a language that really resonated with me, his work. And Joseph Campbell is another man. So if you're looking, so the book is from Alan Watts, and then the Joseph Campbell Companion would be the Joseph Campbell book that I would, mind blowing. So, I mean, these are two books that I've read that just completely, I would sit, close the book and go, wait, and I'd go back and I'd highlight it and I'd sit and I'd look at it again and I'd close the book again and I'd meditate on it. And it's just amazing work.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for those recommendations. That'll be very interesting.
Yeah.
So a big theme that I've got from listening to you is to help people understand their purpose. And you say that most people overthink their purpose, but that we should be creating maps instead by the way of exploration. Would you like to tell the listeners of the Golden Buddha story that you told on Dave's interview?
Yeah, wow, that's a great story. Yeah, the Golden Buddha story. So this is a true story. 1957. And every time I tell this story, I just get kind of chills because it's such a wild story. 1957, in Thailand, there was a giant 10-foot tall, 2.5-ton clay Buddha statue being moved so that they can move this Buddhist monastery. And in moving the statue, there was a crack in the clay. There came to be this crack. And one of the monks looks into the clay, to go fix it, I guess. And he sees under the clay gold shining through.
Nice.
So what they do is they end up saying, well, what's under here? So they chip away at the clay and they find under this clay Buddha statue was in fact a golden Buddha statue, 10 foot tall, 2.5 tons.
Wow.
And so for hundreds of years, they believe this. So historians actually know that hundreds of years ago, when Thailand was still Siam, the Burmese army was invading, and the Siamese monks had this beautiful golden Buddha statue, and they covered it with clay so the Burmese would see no value in it and not steal it, right? And all these years, centuries go by, and it was believed to be nothing more than a kind of a pretty cool clay Buddha statue, rather than this glorious golden Buddha statue.
That was my Buddha behind.
yeah, right. Seriously, and so it was this beautiful kind of event, but also it's a very poignant story about purpose and who we really are. We think of purpose and think of who we are as this extrinsic thing to go out and find. So when we say discovering purpose, I don't quite like this. I say it sometimes, but I don't quite like discover. I like uncover a bit more. Because it's not about adding more clay, proverbial clay, to the Buddha, our Buddha. It's about, in fact, chipping away clay to uncover that golden Buddha. And oftentimes that chipping away in a very literal sense means limiting beliefs, stories, past events that we feel have kind of dictated our lives, fears, things like that. So once we uncover that, we're better able to uncover really who we are, what our golden Buddha is, and what our purpose is.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that. I love the way you tell the story and bring that. Yeah, it's really good. Good stuff. Golden nuggets is what I call some of these.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I like giving golden nuggets. And that's, I love telling stories in my coaching too, because storytelling it's the oldest art form. I call my kind of coaching campfire conversations, and it's those powerful, deep, late night kind of conversations that hopefully impact your life. And storytelling is a way for us to really hold on to an insight or a message very clearly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can say on this conversation, hey, purpose is in you, not out there. And we can hear it, we can intellectualize it and understand, but we kind of tend to forget things like that. But if you hear it in the context of a story, you can really metabolize that and really, really take something from that.
Absolutely. It's a bit like listening to lyrics of a song, isn't it? You might contribute or attribute it to something that you remember or whatever it might be. It's very similar to that.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. Okay. So talk to us about your experience of Japan and the philosophy and art of Kintsukuroi.
Kintsukuroi.
Okay. I said it wrong. Well, okay. But
it's okay. You can
the metaphor of how you use it in life.
Yeah, well, actually, I have the bowl on my desk right now. So
awesome stuff.
It is.
There we go.
A bowl with the art of Kintsukuroi. When I went to Japan, I was a bit of a depressed case at the time. It was back then.
Yeah.
And I got lost in the streets of Kyoto. Couldn't read any of the kanji signs. Couldn't read anything. And I stumbled in this shop, and I saw this bowl. And I don't know why, I just liked the way it looked, I guess. And it was beautiful to me. I asked the lady what it was, and she says, Kintsukuroi. And, I picked it up, I bought it, and then I learned about what it means. And it means, Kintsukuroi essentially is not just the Japanese art of repairing pottery. It's the Japanese philosophy of being more beautiful having been broken. Mm-hmm. So if you notice on where the bowls has been shattered, it's not fixed to make it look like it's never been shattered. It's actually fixed to showcase the cracks in the bowl. Mm-hmm. And in the same with our human existence, we shouldn't try to hide away our cracks, right? Because those cracks are really the places that we've put ourselves back together, and that's something to be proud of, and that's something to showcase. And oftentimes in your pain, are some things I'll often say is in your karma is your dharma. Oftentimes the things that have hurt you kind of are sometimes it's the purpose that you should be looking at. And so you are more beautiful having been broken. And it's a beautiful thing in life to look at those cracks and find new perspective in them and change the way we see those cracks and to showcase them. So like I said, I was in a weird place in my life, financially not good, and my relationship was not going well. I was at a job I hated. And I found new perspective on all that, and through that perspective and trying to find the gold in those cracks, I was able to more easily discover purpose. I found new perspective that my relationship was ending, but hey, if I can love the wrong person this much, how much can I love the right person? Mm-hmm. Right? And so it's just kind of reframing the way I saw that. So yeah, Kintsukuroi, it's a powerful, beautiful bowls, by the way, but yeah. Yeah, Kintsukuroi. So I keep it on my desk to always remind me of that. Yeah.
Brilliant. I love that. Love that story as well. And that's just, and the thing is, just because that relationship ended, you went through your self-love period, and so that you could find somebody else who you could relate to more, having found yourself, which is beautiful.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, the relationship was ending, and it was, I'm going to be alone, so I might as well learn to love myself and love my own company, because what a powerful thing too, right? Yeah. So through that storm, I was able to really find the positive in it. And it was scary, but when you learn to love yourself, it's when you're really in a place to love somebody else.
Exactly. And you attract the right people to you then too.
Because you're not settling. You're not in a place of need.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. Okay, so you use Real Life Portal in your coaching business. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, are you using them?
No.
Oh yeah, Real Life Portal. It was an app, or I think it still is an app, but they are just it's a way to kind of have accountability between clients, and
Yeah, I was going to ask you if that was what it was for.
yeah, it's just
So
accountability.
that
How
you
am I
can
feeling?
help
How
them
yeah,
grow
I
more in between sessions.
yeah, I had a few clients who were using that for a while, but it just became I understand that it was working pretty well, but it just kind of organically, some of these clients we've worked together for so long, and I'd rather just kind of journal around that, and put
Yeah.
the phone away. So that's kind of what the transition was like from there. So no, I
Okay.
don't use it so much anymore, but yeah, I
Okay.
was using them.
Yeah, no, I just thought it was a really good accountability thing that you had in
Yeah,
your coaching business, that kind of way.
man. Yeah, accountability. It's if you want me to hold you well, accountability is huge for me. So I oftentimes, oh, you want to go to the gym 5 days this week. All right, well, you're going to send me a timestamp picture of every day if you're at the gym and what your workout was like.
Yeah.
You want to get up in the morning? I'll call you 5 a.m. Right? Because I'm already up.
You do
Like,
that?
so.
Do you give
Well,
people wake-up calls?
well, I have international clients a lot too, so they're not all here. So sometimes their 5 a.m. is my 1 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, sometimes I'll set an alarm and I'll surprise them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's just I mean, you don't need accountability. It takes, usually in my work, it takes 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks to go from just unbearable to just unstoppable. So I don't have to do that through the whole coaching relationship. Usually,
Yeah.
it's typically in the beginning stages where
I'm having all these thoughts. What do you say? Hello, this is
right.
Travis. This is your wake-up call.
Yeah. Get out of bed. The sun's shining. What are you doing? Come on, right?
Not
So
here
yeah,
in Ireland, it's not.
that's yeah. So that's super
It's
important for a
great.
lot of people, right? Just drag them out of bed. Do the best you can. But yeah, it's not the whole relationship. But typically
Yeah,
the beginning stages of something really out of somebody's comfort zone. It's gonna take a bit of
I love it.
a extensive force sometimes.
Okay, I love your 1 minute videos that you do, your 1 minute videos. Is it hard to compress all that inspiration into 1 minute? I can
Yeah.
imagine it is.
Yes, it is. No, it used to be. I learned how to do it. What I actually did for the few years ago, I did this thing called daily reflections, and Instagram has like these
Yeah,
15-second. You can only do 15-second videos on Instagram. So what I
crazy.
did a few years ago, yeah, is I did 15 seconds. So a minute now is like I can
I don't
have
know
a
how
thought.
you did 15 seconds. I mean,
Yeah, go. You
my
got to
daughter,
watch some of them. It was
I used to be like to my daughter, what the heck? Why is it 15 seconds? What?
yeah. So it was, and that's just I started doing these on Instagram every single day. And then everybody's going, you need to start sharing these on Facebook so we can keep them
Yeah.
and rewatch them because Instagram goes away. And so I said, okay. And then it just became this thing. I did it for an entire year. And so I think I actually stopped doing it because I'm going, man, I'm talking. Now I'm starting to talk fast on all my other stuff. And I got to slow down. So the minute coach is basically that, but allows
Oh, no, I
time to
love it. You've
breathe.
got to keep doing it. Do you have a timer?
The one, now I do the 1 minute coach. It's just kind of, no, I just
No,
kind of,
guesstimate.
yeah, I kind of guess. So sometimes it's a minute, sometimes it's like a minute and a half, but
Okay,
super good enough.
cool. Um, okay, so I've heard you say fear should not be your departure if you want to live an extraordinary life. Fear should be your direction. Fear
Mm.
is a mask for desire. We should look for the treasure in the cave, as you've already discussed. Talk to us a little bit more about fear and the driving force behind us living our extraordinary life.
Yeah. I think fear is a very, well, I know fear is a very good way to go deep, very quick. If you ask somebody, anybody out in the street, what do you want? Like, what's your dream? What do you want out of life? Most people kind of go, they're not used to asking, they haven't reflected on this. Some people know, but oftentimes it's on a very surface level. A great way to go deep is, well, what are you scared of?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And what we can find oftentimes in the fear is, once we uncover what the fear is, we can then uncover maybe what the desire is behind that fear. What's the treasure in the cave? What's the elixir that the dragon is guarding?
Yeah.
And, because fear, we wake up in the morning and we say, how can I avoid what I'm scared of? How can I avoid the challenges in my life, rather than confronting them? And when we confront them, we find freedom and we find that life of fulfillment. But I want to take it a step further. I want to ask, what is that behind that fear? That is the deep, that treasure that you want. So sometimes we can look at the big dream, and there's always going to be a fear that's going to prevent us from having that dream. But sometimes we can kind of look at it a different way. Well, what's the fear first?
Yeah.
And what's the treasure behind that fear?
Yeah.
And then once we just kind of just change that lens and change that perspective and rethink the way we look at fear, we might find some clues to things that surprise us. Wow, I didn't know I want that, but yeah, that's the life I do want. Right.
Yeah.
I think, the fear of, I talked on you probably saw the live video I just did, is, big fear we have. Yeah. The fear of rejection, or the fear of not good enough. The fear of not good enough holds entrepreneurs back. The fear of rejection holds, how many business owners that I talk to, I say, coaches, I work with coaches as well, I don't want to put myself out there and ask for the client, because what if they say no?
Yeah.
And so it's just reframing that, and because sometimes that's all it takes, is to slay that dragon of fear of rejection, to turn a 6-figure income to a 7-figure income, or turn a 5-figure income to a 6-figure income. Mm-hmm. It's just stepping powerfully into that fear. Oftentimes it is those small tweaks that can create exponential growth.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Love it. Okay, so you talk about how life is created from the inside out, and that what you choose to do with the circumstances around you is what defines you, not the circumstances themselves. Talk to us, if you would, a little bit more about this.
Yeah. Happiness is an inside job.
Totally.
You ever read the book Man's Search for Meaning?
No.
Yeah, this man, he's in one of the best books of all time.
Man's Search for Meaning?
He's in a concentration camp, Nazi concentration camp, and he's trying to find purpose and happiness and fulfillment through that. Basically, the message of the book is, we know this through peer-reviewed studies in psychology, and Dalai Lama's talks on happiness, is that happiness is not an outside-in job. It's not based on your circumstances. If it was, wealthy people would be happy. Mm-hmm. But why are so many wealthy people so miserable? It's because we still think that happiness is about money and extra cars and things. It's an inside job. It's how you define those circumstances in life, and it's how you use those circumstances. If you want to be successful, it's what you do with the hand that you've been dealt. That's going to define your life, not the circumstances themselves that are going to define your life. That's such an important distinction to make. Yeah. When people come to me and they say, well, easier said than done, Travis, you're not where I'm at. I know I'm not, and I can honor that. Yeah. But if you want to make a change in your life, you got to take a stand, and you got to change the way you're looking at these circumstances, and you have to do something about it. Mm-hmm. Right? Because we can either be defined by our circumstances, or we can define our circumstances.
Yes. Perfect. And the thing with happiness is, as you said, and it's what I teach too, it can only come from within, and we've got to let everybody else off the hook. We've got to take 100% responsibility for our own selves and for our own path and for our happiness.
Yeah, there's we know this on an intellectual, we say this. I have a joke that I say, some people love my message so much they make it their iPhone wallpaper instead of actually using it, right? So we know, we've been told over and over, happiness is an inside job. Money doesn't buy happiness. We've all heard it.
Yeah.
But then people that still make it their wallpaper instead of using it, they say, well, when I have a little more money, then I'll be able to be happy. It doesn't work that way, because you're going to have the money, and then you're going to still have that mindset of more and more and more and more. There was a study done recently, and I wish I can remember who did it, that the lowest means happiness, money does buy happiness to a certain level, but it's only $30,000 a year about. That's what the study says. Right? After that, it's all an inside job, right? Because after $30,000, you typically have your needs met, your basic survival needs, right? And from there, it's all here, man. It's all inside.
Yeah.
Right?
Amazing. Wow. Well, Travis, would you like to tell the listeners where they can reach you, what services exactly you provide, and your YouTube channel, if you're accepting friend requests on Facebook, all of those kinds of things?
Yeah.
And I gotta say, boom.
Yes, you get it. So yeah, I'm online everywhere. Instagram, Facebook are two of my favorite. I'm on Twitter. Instagram at Trav Barton. Facebook, you can just type in Travis Barton and I'll accept you. Probably. And yeah, YouTube, just search Travis Barton on there. Got 2020, it's going to be a crazy year, awesome year. Next year, I'm doing Live Your Adventure program, which is a 6-month full immersion coaching experience with me.
Is that online or in person?
It's going to be all online. So I do online, and I also do Barefoot Business, which is starting. My next intake is starting in January. I help coaches create a thriving, prosperous laptop lifestyle business and a life they don't need a vacation from. That's a group coaching program. And then if you want to do in-person stuff, I'm doing a 5-day Grand Canyon retreat with a great coach, Sarah Schulting-Kranz, in the Grand Canyon in January. So if you always wanted to do that, man, we got some stuff cooking for you.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, and of course I do the 1-day intensives, but I don't do normal 1-day intensives with my clients. We go out in nature, hikes, paddleboarding, surfing, things like that, and do some deep coaching work like that. But that's
brilliant.
It's fun.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you so much. And thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. And I just appreciate it so much.
Much love. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you so much. And we'll say goodbye to the listeners. See you on the next episode.
Boom, baby.
Boom.